Hello everyone, hope you all are doing great. Welcome back to another episode of Gardening on Nandanavanam.
Today's episode is dedicated to my year-long journey in growing pumpkins or Gumadipandu as they are called in my native language Telugu. Last fall we visited a pumpkin farm or pumpkin patch. It is likely the first time my family ventured outdoors after the lockdown. While we were still scared to death, we wanted to take the girls somewhere before it's almost impossible to do any outdoor activity for the year. We also got to pick Halloween pumpkins from somewhere. After a 20-minute drive, here we were at the farm. Let me take you along for the journey. Before we get started though, if you are here for the first time, welcome to my channel. My name is Pavan and I love to garden. As I garden, I make these episodes to help out aspiring gardeners take advantage of my experiences. Please subscribe to the channel to learn great gardening tips, watch interesting harvest videos, and yum recipes with homegrown food. Let's get started. Here in the US, you can find pumpkin seeds almost at any Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace Hardware, or many such local stores. So, where did I pick my seeds from? Well, while these seeds can be found in almost any of these local stores, the good news for me was they could also be found within the pumpkin. So, as we picked the fresh pumpkins from the farm, I didn't have to go hunting for these seeds at the store. I picked them from the pumpkin, cleaned them up, dried them, and used them for planting. I have a huge confession here. I had no idea what I was doing, but just picked a handful of seeds and threw them in a couple of pockets of my tower garden. Pumpkins are large and heavy fruit. If common sense prevailed, I should have known not to plant them in a tower garden, right? Well, turns out common sense is not that common after all. So, anyway, as I said in my earlier videos, Mother Nature is very forgiving, accommodating, and rewarding too. So the seeds did sprout. Next time around, I'll ensure to pick better parts of my garden to plant these seeds. Now, let's get to what is the right time to sow these seeds. You want to sow the seeds when the average temperature in your place is above 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit or 21 to 23 degrees Celsius. And for Seattleites, the best time to sow the pumpkin seeds would be in late June. For one, I've picked an amazing spot to plant the pumpkin seeds. And two, I was extremely generous with the seed quantity thanks to the abundance of seed availability, I guess. Both of which meant the pockets of Tower Garden became very crowded for the plants real quick as they started sprouting into seedlings. So I attempted to transplant some of them to a different container, and my attempts were not fruitful. If any of you have successfully transplanted pumpkin plants, do share your experience in the comments section so we all can learn from you. Until I learn otherwise from you all, for now, the lesson I picked for this year is not to plan for any transplanting and pick spots in my garden where these plants can thrive and produce enough fruit. Pumpkin plant is actually a vine, and for support, it started holding on to the parsley, spinach, chocolate mint, and other greens which I've planted in the tower garden. And the vine kept growing well, and within a month, it has literally taken over the whole tower garden. But the side effect of that is all the other greens like the parsley, spinach, chocolate mint, they have not been able to grow well because the pumpkin leaves, which are very large, have literally covered up all the other greens. And then something happened. Despite me watering the plants multiple times a day, the impact of heat wave was devastating. Particularly, the pumpkin plants were impacted severely, and I believe them being planted in the tower garden had something to do with it. I've then half heartedly tried to nurture them back to life for over a week, and thanks to Mother Nature, some of them did survive and went on to produce fruit. Within a few weeks after the heat wave, the plants started blooming, and there were these bright and beautiful yellow flowers which attracted a ton of bees into the garden. So there I was starting to dream about all the pumpkins that would grow in my garden. Although, turns out each morning the flowers would bloom and the same evening they end up dead. And then I started to wonder what's going on and why these flowers were not turning into fruit despite so many bees in the garden. So I had to end up reading and I learned a lot about this. Turns out that plants in the squash family produce both a male and a female flower, and so far most of the flowers I have seen in my garden were male flowers, so no wonder they were not producing the fruit. Pumpkin plants need a lot of energy to produce female flowers and even more energy to be able to bear and grow the fruit to its full size. And no wonder my plants were not ready yet due to the heat wave. So I waited patiently, and as I wait, let me share with you all how to identify or rather distinguish between a male and female flower. Pumpkin plants usually grow a bunch of male flowers before they produce female flower. Is the nature's way of attracting pollinators before the female flowers start to grow so they can pollinate them and grow into the fruit. This is a female pumpkin flower. As you can see, there is a very short stem followed by the bulb and then the flower continues. And on the other hand, the male pumpkin flower has this long stem and then the flower. So that is the difference between these two flowers, and hope this helps you to distinguish between a male and female pumpkin flower. I have waited for the plants to do their thing, and one evening while watering the plants, I've noticed tiny white spots on the leaves. This was an early warning sign of one of the most common fungal disease in pumpkins, the powdery mildew. This is not a fatal disease, especially in the established plants like the ones in my garden. However, once this starts to spread, it quickly takes over the whole plant and can also easily spread to other plants in the garden. And if those are young plants, they could be severely impacted. And in established plants, the yield will be reduced. So, once I spotted the early signs, I've taken steps to control the spread of the disease by spraying organic garlic pesticide every week on both sides of the leaf. I will leave a link for that homemade garlic pesticide here so you can follow the process and make it yourself. I was also lucky to have gotten a few decent rains in July, so the combination of those kept the mildew under control throughout July. And by early mid August, it started coming back, and garlic spray won't cut it anymore. So I had to use neem oil spray, and that could manage the situation for another 4 to 5 weeks until the fruit grew into decent size. As you can see, I have significantly thinned out the pumpkin plants to open up enough space for better air circulation, which helped me control the disease and protect the few fruit that were left. I've also had a conversation with another gardener in my neighborhood who has way larger garden and produce a ton more compared to me, and seems like towards the end of the growing season powdery mildew is here to stay and there is very little that can be done to get rid of it. At this point, the suggestion I got was to watch out and ensure that this disease do not spread to other plants of the garden or to the pumpkin fruit. So if you are dealing with this situation, manage to prolong the condition as long as possible, and once you are able to harvest the pumpkin fruit, collect the foliage and transfer them to the yard waste bin. You do not want to hold on to the foliage for compost or any other reason, as this still carries the fungal infection which can easily spread to other plants in your garden.
It is harvest time. Let's get started.
Wait a second, is that it? For all the work, is that the only pumpkin that you were able to grow? Well, let me confess, yes, it's a tiny pumpkin, but it's the first pumpkin that I ever successfully grew. So it definitely calls for celebration, right? And now, let me reveal what I was carefully hiding from you all so far in this episode.
That's a huge pumpkin, and it's pretty ripe. Is it gonna be pie? Is it gonna be pumpkin curry? I don't know, maybe all of those. We'll see. I'll share those recipes too.
Over 6,000 views and more than 500 hours of watch time of all the videos in my channel in just about 5 months. Thank you all for all the love and support. That means a lot to me. Please keep watching and do let me know in the comment section what other content you'd love to watch so I can prioritize making that. Again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate all your love and support. Thanks you all for being with me today. Hope this episode was informative and helpful. If you like the video, please smash that thumbs up button. By doing it, YouTube will recommend my video to more viewers. That's an easy way for you all to show your appreciation towards the channel and motivate me to continue posting these episodes. Happy gardening. This is Pavan signing off until the next episode. You all have fun growing and spend time in your garden.